It was about 10:30 on a Friday night in May, 1971. Two cops, Waverly Jones and Joseph Piagentini from New York City's 3-2 precinct, were on patrol when they answered a routine radio call that brought them to the Harlem River Drive and 159th Street. That radio call, it turned out, was a fake, intended to bring the two police officers, one white and the other black, to the location for one purpose. The purpose was to execute them. Years later, three men would be brought to justice in the murders of police officers Jones and Piagentini. Anthony Washington, Herman Bell, and Anthony Bottom were the killers. At their trial, female friends and relatives would testify that after the murders of the two young cops, the killers gathered in an apartment where they then laughed, celebrated, and partied. Anthony Bottom was quoted as saying, "We just off some pigs." That was 1971. Tumultuous times, no doubt. Many of us remember those times. They were fraught with tension and charges of oppression, and the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War played on our televisions nightly. Recently, it has been suggested that Herman Bell and Anthony Bottom ought to be paroled. But I have to ask, why? The argument for their freedom seems to center on 2 points. One is that they have had nearly perfect prison records, and the other is that they are political prisoners of sorts because they were, as the story goes, standing up against police abuse of authority and standing up for the rights of people of color. But wait just a minute. The fact that they have been on good behavior in prison is laudable. There is no doubt. But let's not forget that these men were convicted of one of the most serious crimes in a civilized society: the ambush and brutal murder of two police officers in uniform, shot from behind in the back. And the notion that they are somehow political prisoners is ludicrous. These men are not now, nor have they ever been, imprisoned for their political beliefs. They have been imprisoned for a violent, heinous crime that is universally outlawed. Don't get me wrong. Second chances are a great opportunity to start over for people who have made mistakes, and the vast majority of people who are incarcerated should be entitled to a second chance. But there is a small number of people who do not deserve a second chance because the crimes they have committed are far too serious, too brutal, and too shocking to society's conscience. Anthony Bottom and Herman Bell are in that group. The execution of police officers Jones and Piagentini was a gruesome, barbaric crime. Jones and Piagentini were chosen for death not because they themselves had done anything wrong, but merely because one was white, the other was black, and together they wore blue. For Crime and Justice Media, I'm Robert Cacciatore.